We love movies. We watch them, we debate them, we reference their lines. They spawn fandoms, spin-off movies, theories. It is safe to say that the world would be a very different place without them. Since the Lumiere brothers shot that train infamously terrifying its audience, humanity has been captivated by the silver screen ever since. But why do we love them so much? The answer varies from person to person, and the best I can do is explain why I love them, by looking at some of my favourite films of all time and the elements that have made me fall in love with cinema. My name is Josh, your Movie Apprentice, and welcome to Why I Love Movies. In today's episode, I'll be looking at the 1980s coming-of-age classic, The Breakfast Club, a film about 5 high school students from different cliques all having to sit in a library together during Saturday detention. Throughout the film, friendships are made, barriers are broken, and an all-time classic freeze frame is born. So here is why I love The Breakfast Club. There is a phrase when you sat in film class, or rather any creative process, and that phrase is less is more. As much as I enjoy the spectacle of cinema, there is something about the simplest and most basic of films that wield some of the best cinematic magic. Films like Buried, Saw, My Dinner with Andre, all films relish in having their films take place in one specific location, and The Breakfast Club is another movie that benefits from this approach, taking 5 teenagers and sticking them in a library for the majority of the movie's runtime. This allows a more personal story to be told and ensures that everything that takes place within this location is the focus, as it's easy to get sidetracked by many different locations, but having this individual location pretty much throughout makes it less interesting and becomes what a set should always be, and that is a backdrop to the performers in the space. What I love about this even more is that the steady peeling back, the exchanges, the stories, the emotional moments, these were all pretty much improvised by the actors. Whilst John Hughes presented the actors with a guideline of the story beats, ad-lib was heavily encouraged, so when we are seeing these aggressive outbursts, the characters breaking down, the dissection of these cliches, these are all improvised by a talented cast that never peaked beyond this film. The combination of this simple setting, whilst allowing these young actors to develop their characters in their own images, is just a small stepping stone into what made this an iconic piece of cinema. And the way they managed to break up what would be a boring movie with non-stop conversation is beautifully broken up with comedic passage of time sequences as well as the iconic dance sequences, giving the movie a more solid pacing, almost pinpointing our first, second and third act. It's this simple setting that for me really helps this film on its way to becoming this classic. Well, what can I say about these characters that hasn't already been said? No matter who you are, you will relate to at least one of these characters. The brain, the athlete, the basket case, the princess and the criminal. All cliches that are prevalent in schools in some way, shape or form, and even as grown adults, we feel put in these same sort of boxes. It is an unavoidable element of life that is grimly exposed in the dialogue. Myself, I was effectively a Brian in school, and it was definitely Brian that I related to the most on my first watch, but as I got older, elements of Allison and John slipped in, Alison for her dress style and creative mind, and John for his love of headbanging, and I will say to pick people apart when it comes to their facades. I feel like if these characters were a colour palette, everyone's personal colour would be some combination of these 5. There was just something so melancholy about seeing these characters come into the library with the facades, with the reservedness, and yet by the end they are not afraid to show their vulnerabilities and expose themselves in a way they have likely never been able to do before with the group therapy scene. The fact this came out in the mid-80s and over 30 years later people are still discovering it and finding they relate to these characters is just astounding. It shows that as much as we are developing our technology, our ways of community, and breaking down barriers, we are still locked into these cliches by perception, therefore giving these characters an ageless quality. Subtle character moments really send home the point we see people as an image and not an individual. Seriously, show of hands, who was shocked when Brian, our resident nerd, dropped the F-bomb to Claire? The other 4's stunned silence just emphasises that point. He's the brain, the goody two-shoes, he never swears, but there he is lashing out at the popular girl before going into his reason for being there. I think many people, especially with today's society, can relate to Alison, who doesn't say a word for the first half hour, keeping herself to herself, and on the rare occasion she does open up, she's pretty much ignored or downplayed. As I am writing this, I am suddenly relating to her a hell of a lot more. Andrew is determined to be good enough and is scared to disappoint his parents to the point of wishing himself physical injury purely to relieve the pressure that he is under. Claire, whose love is bought and stuck in her own space, needing someone to break her out of it, showing that even though she seems to have everything, they can still have vulnerabilities, but because she does have everything, she can't express herself. And then we have the wild card, John Bender, who is arguably the one that gets the ball rolling by picking apart each member for the first act, calling people out when they tell white lies, displaying that whilst he may not be the smartest academically, he is definitely the smartest when it comes to people. Even Carl and Richard have their moments. Richard Vernon is being a bitter man going through a midlife crisis, wanting respect and demonstrating anger at the world in general for the hand that he has been dealt, despite having a comfortable job that pays quite well. Meanwhile, Carl is the opposite, constantly optimistic despite working as a janitor, which is seen by many as a degrading job. But like John, he sees people and is content being a complete mirror image to Richard. The removal of these characters' masks as they are forced to see each other as people is such a strong narrative. So much so that when John does do the fist raise, we as an audience feel triumphant. Despite, by movie standards, nothing happened. It was just a bunch of teenagers in detention for a day, yet we feel like we have had a complete journey and emerged victorious somehow. Despite how lackluster the actors' careers may have gone after this, they will always be remembered for these characters. I won't say these are iconic characters because sadly, not everyone has seen this movie, but those who have will never forget these characters.
What is going to happen to us on Monday when we're all together again?
Brian asked the question, yet we never got an answer. And you know what? That's okay. Whilst sequels were planned, and even an airport version of The Breakfast Club was planned in the late 2000s, we never saw these characters again. What happens on Monday? We don't know. I have theories, but I'd rather discuss it on a future podcast episode. For now, I will simply mention how happy I am that in this day and age, of seemingly everything being rebooted or remade, this piece of cinema history remains untouched. Whilst it has had its parodies, homages, and you could even argue the Power Rangers movie was borrowing heavily from the movie, The Breakfast Club remains a standalone film. And for me, it is the perfect standalone film. The simple setting, taking place in one location, really sticks out as it's symbolic to real life. Some of our happiest memories usually take place in a single space. Places and locations tell stories, and having this one coming together of these characters take place in this one specific space is magical. There is a reason that if walls could talk is a saying. Places hold history. Like I stated previously, these actors may not have had the biggest of careers, but their names are forever etched in this time capsule of a movie. What happens on Monday is a burning question. Do they remain friends? Does their outlook on cliches change? Do they acknowledge each other in the halls? Did things go back to the status quo? These are questions that we can ask, and are answers that we may want but we don't necessarily need. How many times has a sequel failed to live up to the original? How many franchises have bled out through constant sequels and reboots to the point where they just don't feel special anymore? The Breakfast Club, being its own thing, never lost its charm or magic. And the song that I have somehow not spoken of yet, you know the one, is just the embodiment of the questions we have. The lyrics blending so well with the unanswered question of what happens on Monday. Maybe it's me being sentimental as I get older, but the amount of people I have walked past that I recognise that don't recognise me is countless. Though I am guilty of the reverse, where people have come up to me and said hello, and I had no idea who they were. It's a heartbreaking truth that people will come and go, but it's the memories that count. So regardless of what happened on Monday, these characters, these actors, and we will always have this hour and a half in this school. It should never be touched, and this simple story has somehow stayed relevant while many franchises have come and gone. March 24th, 1984, Shermer High School, where the Breakfast Club was born, and despite the song's concern, we will not forget about them. And that is why I love the Breakfast Club. This is why I love movies. Hey, thank you for watching and thank you for making it to the end of the video. While you are here, if you haven't done it yet, please feel free to drop a like and consider hitting that subscribe button for more reviews coming all the time. And also, while you are here, there are some other videos over there that you might want to sink your teeth into. Have a good day, guys, and do enjoy.